What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today is the day that the new album by Soilwork released, entitled Verkligheten. I believe that's how it's pronounced. It's either Verkligheten or Verklighten. I don't know. It's something. It's in Sweden, and of course, Soilwork is a band from Sweden. So yeah. So what are my initial thoughts on the album first listen? I gotta say that I'm pretty impressed. Before I really get started with this, I just gotta say that this is not Soilwork's best album, but it's nowhere near one of their worst either. I still think that this is a solid album. So let's get into the track listing. So it has an intro, the title track. There's not much to say about it, but it goes right into Arrival, which was the first single released for this album, and as you guys know, I did a review for this track. Actually, this was the only single I reviewed before this album actually came out. And as you guys know, I had nothing but good things to say about it. This is actually a really good song, and it's very suitable for an opening single. And it's a good album, opener overall. And then we got Bleeder to Spoiler. Now, I think if you're someone who's a fan of Soilwork albums like A Predator's Portrait, I think this track is going to have something that you like, because this honestly feels like a throwback to those days. And yeah, I think instrumentally this song is really well made, and I think it's a good song. It's not one of my favorites, but it's a good song. And then of course we got Full Moon Shoals, which was one of the other singles that they came out with. Now, I actually like this single a lot. This may have been my favorite of the three singles. Either this song or Arrival was my favorite of the three singles that they came out with. This song is more in the ballad territory, but I think it's a good song. I really like the chorus a lot, and Bjorn's vocals really sound good in this song. And then we got The Nurturing Glance, which I think is a really neat song as well. This is one that I can't complain about, and yeah, not much to say about it. It's just a really good song. And then we got When the Universe Spoke. Now, this is a song I can't wait to talk about, because this is definitely within my top 3 favorite songs on this album by far. If you're a fan of Soilwork songs like Enemies and Fidelity, I think you're gonna like this one a lot. Instrumentally, it's really good, and the vocals are really good. I really like Bjorn's vocal delivery in the chorus. Definitely a great song, great Soilwork song. Next up, we got Stallfagel, which has a guest vocalist. Now, this was another song that they came out with as a single prior to the album. And I gotta be honest, I don't really know why they chose this one as a single, as far as the third single goes, because this, in my opinion, was the weakest of all 3 of the singles. I just think musically it's not very bland. I still think it's a good song, but it's nothing mind-blowing. I just think musically it doesn't go anywhere. And yeah, like I said, it's one of the first songs to have, guest vocals on the album, so yeah. I think it's an interesting song. It's a good song, but it's nowhere near one of my favorites. Next up, we got The Wolves Are Back in Town. This is an interesting song, especially, in Bjorn's vocal delivery. This song kind of brings Soilwork back to the days of Figure Number 5, just a little bit. Definitely an interesting song overall. Next we got Wynton. This is an interesting song as well. Not one of my favorites, but it's pretty good for what it is. And then we got The Ageless Whisper, which I think is actually a really good song. And definitely one of my favorites on the album. And of course, I gotta, talk about the last couple of songs that have guest vocals. Needles and Kin, and also the You Acquiver. These 2 songs, these are 2 pretty good closing tracks, but they're not one of my favorites. I think they're kind of disappointing. These songs kind of focus more on the, upbeat side of things. And for that reason, I'm not too big of a fan of these tracks in particular. However, they're not bad tracks. I think they're really good. I still think Father and Son Watching the World Go Down was a way better closer than these tracks. So yeah, that is my review of Verklighten by Soilwork. I think it's actually a really good album. I was a little worried about it at first, you know, after Agile or whatever it's called. That song to me was one of the weaker tracks on the album, but it's still not a bad song. The thing is with Soilwork these days, like whenever they come out with new music, you kind of already know what you're getting. However, I still think that this is a really good album, and it's a really great addition to the Soilwork discography. And I believe this has been the longest wait for a Soilwork album. You know, because The Ride Majestic came out in fall of 2015 or something like that. I know they had a Rarity album come out the year after, but as far as studio albums are concerned, you know, it's been over 3 years since the last Soilwork album, so this album definitely felt like a breath of fresh air, and yeah, it's a really good album, and you know, it's a great way to start off the year with great music. I think I don't think this is, you know, one of Soilwork's best albums, but I would say instrumentally it is one of their best albums. I think everything, you know, as far as the instruments go, are an improvement. There were some solos in this record that really stood out to me that I really liked, and you know, I can see myself returning to a lot of the songs on this album. And you know, I am really glad I decided to pre-order this album. You know, my copy will be in about a week or so, I don't know. But yeah, I can't wait to get my copy of the album, because I do like this album a lot. Like I said, I don't think this album is as good as The Ride Majestic. I still think The Ride Majestic is a better album, but this album is still very good, and this album is better than The Living Infinite, but it's not better than The Ride Majestic. The Living Infinite, in my opinion, just didn't really do that well with age, and you know, considering it's a double album, and if you know me, double albums are kind of, I don't know, I kind of have this weird thing with double albums. The thing is, they're so full of filler, and it just makes things not that interesting. So yeah, I do like this album more than The Living Infinite, but I don't think it's better than The Ride Majestic. That's my opinion, though. But like I said, Verklighten by Soilwork, really solid album. I'll have to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I would have gladly given it a 9, but there's just a few tracks on this album that I'm probably going to skip sometimes. But I think most of this album is really good. It's really good musicianship, and yeah, really great album by Soilwork. I highly recommend you check it out if you are a Soilwork fan, or if you're looking for a really good recent metal release. You should definitely turn this one on and give it a listen. So what do you guys think of the album if you heard it? Thank you for watching, have a good one, and take care.